Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a story that's, well, it's complex, definitely heartbreaking, and it's just so tangled up in the history of American music. We're talking about Ike Turner Jr. and his recent passing.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad news. He passed away at 67 in a Los Angeles hospital.
Mm.
And the timing, it's just brutal.
Right. The sources all confirm he died just one day after his 67th birthday.
It just adds this extra layer of, well, tragedy to it all.
Absolutely. And the immediate cause, according to the reports, was kidney failure. But it sounds like this was part of a much longer health battle.
That's right. It wasn't exactly sudden in that sense. The sources mentioned he'd been dealing with some really severe chronic heart issues.
And there was a stroke.
Yeah, just a month before he died. So it really paints a picture of someone whose body was under immense strain for probably quite some time. Maybe physical, maybe psychological too.
So our mission today, as always, is to kind of unpack this, go beyond the headline, and try to understand the life of someone born right into the center of this incredibly potent musical legacy, but also a really difficult, challenging family dynamic. Okay, let's unpack this. To really get it, you have to start with where he came from, right? The environment he was born into.
Absolutely. Context is key here.
So born in 1958, biological son of Ike Turner Sr. and Lorraine Taylor, but then famously adopted by Tina Turner. He grew up literally inside the engine room of this music empire.
And what an empire it was. You've got this intense contrast. You know, Ike Sr., undeniably a musical pioneer, genius-level shaped rock and roll.
Yeah, foundational stuff.
But then the flip side. The sources consistently describe the home environment as chaotic, controlling, often abusive. It was a music empire, but a really troubled one.
That kind of mixed genius and deep dysfunction under one roof, that has to leave a mark, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Some sources talk about this idea of emotional residue.
Yeah.
It's like the trauma gets baked into the family structure.
And for a kid growing up in that, music isn't just background noise or a career path. It's tied up with everything, the good and the very, very bad.
Exactly. It's the architecture of your life, but also potentially your trauma.
And you almost can't help but see that playing out in the family's more recent history. It's just been marked by so much loss.
It really has. It feels connected. You know, you look at the deaths of his brothers, Craig, who died by suicide back in 2018.
Right.
And then Ronnie, just in 2022, from colon cancer.
So tragic.
Yeah, different causes, obviously, but it points to this immense weight the family seems to carry. It suggests the impact wasn't just like physical abuse reported back then, but this deep psychological and emotional toll that echoed down the generations.
So if that's the environment he inherited, then the real story becomes about how he navigated that, how he tried to find his own way.
Exactly. And despite everything, despite the massive shadow of his parents, he was a musician himself, and apparently a pretty serious one from early on. Yeah, his cousin, Jacqueline Bullock, had this great quote. She said something like, "There wasn't an instrument he didn't want to play."
I love that. It suggests this real, innate curiosity, not just trying to follow in footsteps, but a genuine passion for the instruments, for the sound itself.
Definitely sounds like it. He was a multi-instrumentalist, drawn to it young. But then there's that anecdote about the drums. It tells you a lot about the kind of structure or maybe discipline in that house, specifically from Tina.
Oh, right. Tina, the perfectionist. The story goes, she made him take down his entire drum kit after every single practice session.
Can you imagine, as a kid, just wanting to play? That's intense.
Totally intense. And kind of fascinating because it's so different from the chaos often associated with Ike Sr., right? Tina's imposing this almost rigid order.
Yeah.
And maybe, while frustrating for him then, maybe that discipline actually pushed him, redirected that musical energy away from just performance towards the technical side.
Towards engineering, maybe, where control is actually the goal. That's a really interesting thought. It feels like it could be a deliberate move, yeah. Like to master the very thing, sound, that was part of the chaos he grew up in.
And he wasn't just tinkering in a garage. We need to talk about Bollock sound.
Yes. Okay, Bollock sound. This was Ike Sr.'s professional studio complex in Inglewood. We're talking serious artists recorded there. The Supremes, apparently Paul McCartney did some work there.
Wow. Okay, so Ike Jr. wasn't just, hanging around?
No, not at all. He became a sound engineer. He was involved in actually running the technical side of this major studio.
So he's learning the ropes at a really high level, dealing with professional equipment, probably big names coming through. That's serious skill development.
Deep technical skill, exactly. He wasn't just Ike and Tina's son in that context. He was building his own expertise.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because that expertise, that technical skill, It led to something pretty major.
This is the part that I think blows most people away. Ike Turner Jr. won a Grammy Award.
A Grammy. His own Grammy. Not his dad's, not Tina's. His.
That's right. It totally reframes how you have to think about his career, his legacy.
What was it for?
It was in 2007. He won for engineering the album Risin' with the Blues. It won Best Traditional Blues Album.
Wow. Engineering. So behind the scenes.
Exactly. Quiet, technical work. And what's fascinating is he wins it in the blues genre, his father's territory, really, but as the engineer, the architect of the sound, not the performer. He was actually nominated alongside his father. On that one, Ike Sr. was the credited artist.
That achievement, I mean, a Grammy, it speaks volumes about his dedication, right? Finding his own lane.
It really does.
But it's also kind of sad, isn't it, that such a major professional accomplishment got so overshadowed by the family name. Most people probably didn't even know about it until now, after his passing.
That's the classic challenge, I think, for kids of superstars. Doesn't matter what you achieve, even a Grammy, you're often still seen primarily through the lens of your parents' fame. He found his success behind the mixing desk, in the shadows, focusing on competence and control.
And speaking of sort of the personal side and the quiet struggle, that brings us back to the immediate loss. His sister-in-law, Ike Turner, she posted something really raw right after he died.
Yeah, on social media, she mentioned talking to him just before. She wrote, "I'm glad I spoke to you before you were gone."
Oof. That just hits hard, doesn't it? Especially in a family that's already seen so much loss. It just brings all this high-level talk about legacy right down to the human level, that last phone call.
The finality of it.
So when you try to synthesize all this, pull the threads together from the sources, it really seems like he tried to carve out his own definition of success.
Yeah, the sources say he carried the Turner legacy quietly. That feels right. He took the musical inheritance, maybe even some of that intense discipline, and channeled it.
Into something structured, technical.
Right. It feels like music was both his birthright, his inheritance, but maybe also his therapy. Being a sound engineer requires precision, order, control.
The opposite of the chaos.
Exactly. It's like he was trying to master sound, organize it, control it, finding his own rhythm, a quieter one, despite all the noise he was born into.
That idea of quiet healing, it's powerful, learning to play your own tune, even if it meant stepping away from the spotlight entirely.
And that really makes you think, doesn't it? Raises an important question. How do we properly value legacy and success for people who achieve things quietly? Through technical skill, through perseverance, outside the main glare of fame.
Yeah.
He had this Grammy, this successful technical career, decades in the business. But his story, for many, is only really coming into focus now because of this tragedy.
It's that complexity, isn't it, that really defines his story. A man dealing with huge generational challenges, achieving real professional success, a Grammy winner, but also battling personal demons, significant health issues, leading to this sad ending.
Which brings us to a final thought, maybe a difficult one, pulling from the sources. We talked about that emotional residue, the chaos of his early life. And then you look at the end, the severe heart problems, the kidney failure, the stroke. You have to ask, how much does that intense, stressful early environment manifest physically years down the line?
Even when you've tried to forge your own path.
Right. Even then, what's the long-term cost, the sort of unseen toll of living under such a heavy, demanding shadow? Something for all of us maybe to reflect on.